What's something that you've heard about why you're single that irritates you? Hi, welcome back, or welcome if you're new here. I'm Violetta, your host. Thanks so much for being here. Let's kick off this episode. I know we just recently did a mini series on solo travel. So I know I talked about like solo travel tips, different pros and cons of solo travel, different, false truths that people believe about solo travel. If you haven't listened to any of those episodes, I highly recommend them because I truly believe that you haven't lived fully if you've never been on a solo trip. So those are definitely especially good episodes to listen to if you've never solo traveled. And if you have, maybe listen to the ones about solo travel tips because maybe you might get some hacks that you haven't thought about. So what I want to do is maybe get like a mini series or a maxi series on things people say to us singles that can be irritating, that are dismissive, that might be subtly condescending, that might sound like they're being helpful, but you're really not sure if they're trying to be helpful or if they're just trying to say something basically mean about you. Sometimes they might be said by people not really realizing that they might be coming off a certain way, but just basically all the things that if you've been single long enough, or even if you haven't been single long enough, even if you've just been single at certain points in your life, you probably have heard people say to you. So this episode is just going to get us going, okay? So I'm going to list a few things. I'm going to list a few statements that I have heard while being single. You're too picky. That one never gets old. I hate that one. That one's my least favorite one. It'll happen when you least expect it. You just need to put yourself out there more. Maybe you're intimidating. Have you tried the apps? Why are you still single? You're so pretty, or you're so nice, or you're so handsome. Followed by, why are you still single? I just worry about you. Don't you get lonely? When you find your person, ... When you're in a relationship, you'll understand. Marriage is so much work, but relationships are hard. I just want you to be happy. You're too desperate. A relationship will not solve all your problems. You'll miss all this alone time one day. I wish I had as much alone time as you do. My husband has a friend. Stop looking and it will happen. Maybe your standards are too high. Give him or her a chance. You never know what could happen. Try dating someone who's not your type. You don't want to end up alone, do you? You don't realize how good you have it. You don't have any real responsibilities yet. I don't know how you do it about modern dating, for example. Do you notice anything? All of these assume something is wrong with your perception of singleness, with their perception of singleness, maybe about your feelings about being single, or just with you. Like something's wrong with you, that's why you're single. And if you've heard something wild that's not on this list, and I know there's other things that people have said, DM me. I would love to read it in another episode. And again, we're gonna do a mini series of doing a bunch of these. But a hill I'll die on is that a lot of times these statements are used to shut us singles up and pretend like what we want and what we need doesn't make sense. It's definitely invalidation and a lot of times it's by the people who should help validate us and our needs and our wants. A lot of times it comes from our friends or family members. And what I will never do again is I will never internalize any of these silly, ridiculous, false statements that try to turn us into people who are somehow looked at as at fault for wanting connection, for wanting a romantic relationship, especially because it's a lot of times said by people who have all those things we so deeply crave and desire. And it's natural. It's natural for us to crave and desire these things. So for a note to self today, and again, it's a very short episode, is be honest. Which of these takes the cake for you? And maybe also think about why. Which one of these irritates you the most or feels just most dismissive, or maybe one that you've heard the most personally. I know I've heard your standards are too high, you're too picky. That's the one that I've definitely heard a lot about. And I know that finding a partner or a future boyfriend, girlfriend, fiance, husband, wife, that's literally the most important decision you'll ever do in your life. So I'm going to be as picky as I need to be, because that's the thing you should be picky about. But yeah, maybe which one of these did you almost start actually believing? Because I know at some point I've also almost started believing that, hey, maybe it is a me problem. Maybe I am too picky. And then I would lower my standards and then always get fucked over by whoever I lowered my standards for. Never again am I doing that. So think about that, jot it down, maybe voice note yourself, or better yet, go to allaboutbeingsingle.com and voice note us so I can put that up on a future episode because I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'm going to do a little dance because you know me, I love to dance. And then when I come back, I'll tell you which one of these irks me the most. And before we do that, if you haven't yet, please subscribe or follow the show. I really appreciate your support and thanks for listening. Okay, I'm back. So my biggest one is the you're so picky or your standards are too high. And then my second favorite one, I'm going to also mention this one, is the whole relationships don't solve your problems. It's like, first of all, they do solve some problems, okay? Like money problems. And also being in a relationship solves a huge other problem, which is not having to listen to you mention these silly ass statements about being single to me. But yeah, I also know that a relationship isn't going to change my whole life and make everything different and better. It is a different state of a life. So it is gonna make a person's life different, obviously. If you like this episode, I do think you're probably gonna enjoy either episode 1 or 2. So if you haven't listened to either one of those episodes, I list a lot of things that I've learned throughout all the 20 years of me being single perpetually. And I think some of the disdain of the various cultural remarks that people mention to singles shows in those episodes. So let's get down to the very last part of this, the glow up. Come up with a good comeback to any one of these statements that coupled up people have said to you, or you maybe have heard said to other singles. Maybe just focus on at least one of these that, like, again, really irks you. So one that you wrote down for your note to self. And then if you come up with a good comeback, I would love to see what you guys come up with. So share with us by either DMing me at allaboutbeingsingle on the Instagram page, or just go to allaboutbeingsingle.com and you can drop a voice memo there. I'd love to share these either on my stories on Instagram or on another future episode. As always, I want you to remember that even if you're late, you're right on time. And I hope that this is your space, your era, and your community. Thanks so much for listening, and I will talk to you next Tuesday.